Okay. So NASCAR's playoff format, it's just stupid at this point. The system was brought in to reward winning and make wins more important. And sure, winning has been more important in this system. And if you do win, it helps, but it's become more about winning at the right time. That is what's more important, not just wins, as 2020 has shown. In racing, a champion should be the best driver that season. Not just the end of the season, but the whole season. Racing isn't about being the best at the end of the season while beating the best. It's about a whole season and being consistent and having good finishes. In sports in general, the champion should be the best team. In most sports, a playoff format is needed to determine that. Most notably football, because they don't play every team. Other sports use a best of series because that's more fair than a one and done. Football can't do that because that sport is too physical and violent. In NASCAR, the playoff format doesn't always crown the best driver of that season as the champion. The playoffs at this point exist to create artificial drama and attention to the sport. People get mad if a championship is won before the final race, and I don't get it. Sure, I would love to see a battle go down to the very last lap. But if a driver has been so good that they can win a championship before the final race, then they fully deserve to do that. That shows how good they actually were. And then when you get championships that do go down to the wire, it makes them all that more special. People still talk about Jeff Gordon winning the championship in 1998 because he was so unbelievably good that year. Winning 13 races, having 4 drivers battle it out every year at the final race isn't special. Because you know what's going to happen. If it didn't happen every year, it'd be special, but it does, so it's not special anymore. As an F1 fan, I know all about one team driver dominating, and I don't like it. It would be much more exciting to see more of a battle. But Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton have earned everything they've done. They've put in the work to get so far ahead. They deserve to have the success that comes with that. Sure, F1 should try to do more to limit how far ahead teams can get, and they're doing that with the budget caps that they're putting in. But they shouldn't just change an entire points format that resets and constantly eliminates everything they've done. The point is, in NASCAR in 2015, Kyle Busch won the championship despite missing a third of the season. All because when you're in, everything resets, rest of the season doesn't matter anymore. And then he was the best driver at the end of the season and won the last race. Sure, you can make the argument that the 18 team was the best car out there for the whole season. Sure, you can say that Kyle Busch was the best driver overall in the races he did race in, but Kyle Busch was not the best driver for the whole season. Kyle Busch missed 11 races, or 30.6% of the season. Some people will say, well, that's not fair, he got hurt. But this is fair. This is exactly why owner's points exist. Owner's points exist for the sole purpose of showing what car was the best, regardless of the driver that drives it. The driver standings should exist solely for the purpose of showing who was the best driver, regardless of the car they drove. The most notable example I can think of this is 2013. Mark Martin drove for 3 different teams. He drove the 55 for Michael Waltrip, the 11 for Joe Gibbs, and the 14 for Stuart Haas. Martin finished 25th in the standings with 649 points while missing 8 races. The 55 car finished 24th in the owner standings with 853 points. The 11 car finished 25th with 845 points. And the 14 car finished 18th with 941 points. Mark Martin got his points in those 3 cars, but they also got points from other drivers. Any driver that drives a car gets points for themselves in the driver's standings, and then points for the car in the owner standings. If the 18 was the best car and team, then they should have won the championship in the owner standings. That should have been their reward. But Kyle Busch should not have won in the drivers' championship, as he was not the best driver in 2015. It would have been impossible for Kyle Busch to have won in a system that rewards drivers for their whole work over a whole season. Kyle Busch is a championship caliber driver, and I don't have a problem with him being a champion. He just shouldn't be the 2015 champion. as he wasn't the best that year. Kevin Harvick has 9 wins in 2020 and has dominated the season. Not just in wins. Harvick has 20 top 5s and 26 top 10s. Harvick is actually statistically better than the championship 4 in areas of wins, top 5s, top 10s, laps led, average start, average finish, and lead lap finishes. The only driver in the championship 4 that is higher in any of those categories is Joey Logano, who has a higher average start. Harvick has an average start of 7.6, while Logano has an average start of 6.5. But considering there was no qualifying for most of the season, that's not that representative of performance. But the point is Harvick is statistically the best driver in the season and will finish no better than 5th. And this is in 2020, the year of show up to the track, unload off the truck, and go straight to racing. Harvick and the Ford team have found a way to be incredibly consistent and good despite not having any practice or qualifying, which is really hard. And now their reward is at best 5th place. That doesn't seem right. Until now, no other driver in the modern era has failed to finish worse than 2nd in the driver's standings while winning 9 or more races when running a full season. I'm not saying that Harvick should hands down be the champion, but he's not the 5th best either. So, in a system that is supposed to make wins matter, and the driver with the most wins doesn't even get a chance to win for a championship, it's just stupid. Under the old format, with straight points throughout the whole season, with no resets, Harvick would have won after Texas. Now, I'm not saying that was the right format, but it certainly was better than what we have now. Because if a driver is that good, then they deserve it. They've earned the right to be champion before the season is over. I see people defending this as okay because in other sports, the best team in the regular season doesn't always win the championship. My thing with Harvick isn't even that he was the regular season champion. It's that he was the best driver in 2020 overall. NASCAR and racing in general are not other sports. You can't make this comparison. It doesn't work. Stop. There's a reason that no other racing series uses a format like this because it's stupid. Some people say you have to win when it counts. Like, oh, the Patriots won every game but the Super Bowl. There are way too many issues outside of the drivers or even team's control. You can get a flat tire, get caught up in a wreck that wasn't even your fault, or even a crappy aero package that makes it impossible to pass. For it to come down to just one race is stupid. In other sports, most things are in the player's or team's control. If a quarterback throws an interception, that's his fault. He didn't read the coverage properly, or he shouldn't have thrown the ball. Kevin Harvick clearly had the better car at Kansas and couldn't pass Joey Logano because NASCAR is a terrible car that uses a terrible aero package that makes it impossible to pass. And while you can say everyone is in that same position, that's not exactly true because Joey Logano wasn't in that position as the leader. And now he's racing for a championship and Kevin Harvick isn't, even though he had the better car. Stick and ball sports that people compare it to are 1 versus 1. NASCAR isn't. NASCAR is 1 versus 39. You have to try and beat 39 other teams out there that are also trying to beat you. You also have to drive the track and race that track. And what I mean by this is each track drives differently. People look at Kansas, Chicagoland, Las Vegas, Kentucky and go, they're cookie cutter 1.5 miles. While they do share the 1.5 mile characteristic, that's really about it. They all drive differently in different conditions. It isn't fair to have it come down to one race. And with someone that's dominated the season and have them struggle a little at one track or have something bad happen to them outside of their control and say, oh, well, sorry, you won 10 races, maybe had 30 top 10s, but too bad. You weren't perfect for one race. It's just stupid. Part of the problem is NASCAR doesn't want to admit they're wrong. When NASCAR changed the green-white checker rules and got rid of the overtime line, everyone was like, yes, NASCAR got rid of the overtime line. NASCAR issued a statement to clarify that they, in fact, did not get rid of the overtime line, but just moved it. All because NASCAR won't admit that, hey, we messed up, our bad. This just isn't working out like we thought, but hey, let's fix it and make it better. Drivers can't even complain because, let's be real, NASCAR fined Denny Hamlin once because he said the Gen 6 car was, quote, a work in progress. When you say one negative thing, you get fined, and drivers don't want to get fined. Here's the problem, though, with the pre-chase format used through 2003. If you win a race, you get 175 points. Second then gets 170. The winner leads at least one lap. So then they get 5 bonus points for leading, so then there would be a minimum of 180. But then there's an additional 5 bonus points for leading the most laps that they could possibly get. But for the sake of the argument, let's say they don't get that. Let's say the person in second led the most laps. So second now gets 5 bonus points for leading a lap, with an additional 5 for leading the most laps, bringing their total to 180. If the winner doesn't lead the most laps and second place does, they tie on points, which is just stupid. If you want to make wins matter more, then give the winner more points, like say 190. They would then get a minimum of 195 with leading a lap, and then the most second could get would be 180. And so the winner still is plus 15 points, making wins matter more, because every position down, the points drops 5 points. So the winner gets more points than just a single position up from second to first. I mean, you can change the points number to really whatever you want, but going back to a system that awards points for the whole season just makes more sense. Because in racing, it's not about one race, it's about a whole season and being consistent. If you want to have some sort of a playoff or chase system, at least go back to the original chase format, which was determined based off of points finishes from the first 26 races and then reset to make the top 10 close and have a 10-race shootout. I'm not personally the biggest fan of the system because it still resets, eliminating the hard work done to create the points gap, but you're still basing this off of your performance and consistency. You're not jumping around just because you want to race. Bringing back a season-long points format could actually help with TV ratings, I think, in my mind. With this winning you're in, if, say, my favorite driver wins in the first race, what would then make me want to watch any races until the playoffs? There's no point. They're already locked in. You already know that your driver's locked in the playoffs, so there's no point. So there's no need to watch until the playoffs start. If you have a season-long format, it makes every race important. It makes every position important. So these are just some of my thoughts. And so now you've heard from me, and now I want to hear from you. What do you think about the playoffs? Does NASCAR need to change it? Should they go back to a season-long points format? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and until next time, so long, everybody.